Before this story ends, you'll understand why a crowded cafe went completely silent, and why one small act changed 3 lives forever. If you love emotional stories that restore your faith in humanity, tap like, subscribe to the channel, and stay with me until the very last line, because the ending comes back to the beginning in a way you won't expect. The cafe was loud in that soft, everyday way, cups clinking, milk steaming, people talking over each other like their words mattered more than the space between them. Daniel noticed the noise because he was trying very hard not to notice anything else. He sat near the window with his back straight, one hand wrapped around a paper cup he hadn't touched. Across from him, his 6-year-old son Noah swung his legs under the table, humming to himself and lining up sugar packets like tiny soldiers. It was their Friday ritual. 1 hour after school, 1 cookie to share, 1 moment to pretend life wasn't heavier than it actually was. Daniel was a single dad, though the word, single, never felt accurate. It suggested space, freedom, options. His life had none of those. Since his wife passed away 3 years earlier, everything he did had weight. Every decision felt like it could tip them into something worse. He worked 2 jobs, slept too little, and smiled just enough so Noah wouldn't worry. The cafe was one of the few places where Daniel allowed himself to sit down without checking the clock every 10 seconds. That was when he noticed the girl. She stood near the entrance, holding the door open with her shoulder while balancing a tray in one hand. She couldn't have been more than 12. Her hair was tied back in a loose ponytail, and she wore a faded yellow hoodie that looked too big for her. What caught Daniel's attention, and everyone else's, whether they admitted it or not, was her leg. Or rather, the absence of one. She had a prosthetic, silver and curved, visible beneath her jeans. She leaned slightly to one side as she stood there, scanning the room for an empty seat. The cafe was full, every table taken. People avoided her eyes, not out of cruelty, but out of that uncomfortable politeness that pretends not to see what's right in front of you. Noah noticed immediately. "Dad," he whispered, tugging at Daniel's sleeve. "That girl doesn't have a seat." Daniel followed his gaze. The girl shifted her weight, clearly tired, her tray wobbling just a bit. Daniel's first instinct was the same one he hated in himself. "We're fine here, don't get involved, just finish your coffee." He told himself she'd find somewhere. Someone would move. No one did. The girl took a breath, squared her shoulders, and began walking toward the tables. She stopped at one, then another, politely asking, "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" Each time, the answer was a version of no, sorry, yes, actually, someone's coming. Her smile didn't fade, but it tightened, like she was holding it in place. Finally, she stopped at Daniel's table. Daniel felt his chest tense. He knew that look, hope mixed with exhaustion. She looked at him first, then at Noah, and gestured to the empty chair beside Daniel. She said softly, "Could I sit here for a bit? Just until someone leaves." The cafe seemed to quiet, as if everyone suddenly remembered how to listen. Daniel hesitated. In that split second, 1,000 thoughts ran through his mind. Noah needed space. They were waiting for cookies. What if she spilled something? What if Noah asked questions he didn't know how to answer? What if she didn't want pity? What if she did? The girl waited, still smiling, though her arm trembled slightly from holding the tray. Then Daniel answered. "No," he said. The word landed hard. The girl blinked. A flicker of something, surprise, hurt, embarrassment, crossed her face. Around them, a few people shifted in their seats. Someone cleared their throat. Noah froze, his eyes wide, looking from his dad to the girl. "I'm sorry," Daniel continued, and for a moment it sounded like he was apologizing for something much bigger than a chair. "You can't sit here." The girl nodded quickly, swallowing. "Oh, okay. Sorry to bother you." She turned away, adjusting her grip on the tray. That's when Daniel finished his sentence. "Because this seat," he said, standing up and pulling his chair back, "isn't for sitting. It's for resting. And you look like you've been standing long enough." The cafe went completely silent. Daniel moved the chair out and gestured for her to take it. "Please," he said, "sit. I'll stand." The girl stared at him, confused. "But, you were here first." Daniel smiled, the kind of tired, honest smile that comes from knowing exactly what it feels like to need a break and not ask for one. "I've got 2 good legs," he said lightly. "And a kid who won't let me sit still anyway." Noah grinned and nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah," he added, "he's really bad at sitting." A few people laughed. The tension eased, like a breath finally released. The girl hesitated, then slowly lowered herself into the chair, setting the tray on the table. Her shoulders sagged the moment she sat down, relief washing over her face. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Really?" Daniel stood beside the table, sipping his coffee, pretending it didn't matter. But it did. His leg ached, his back complained, and still, he felt lighter than he had all day. They sat in a comfortable silence for a moment. Then Noah, being Noah, broke it. "My name's Noah," he said. "What's yours?" The girl smiled, this time for real. "I'm Lily." "Cool name," Noah said. "Do you like cookies?" Lily laughed. "Yeah, a lot." Daniel watched them talk, something warm unfolding in his chest. Lily told them she came to the cafe every Friday after physical therapy. She'd lost her leg in an accident when she was 8. Learning to walk again was hard, but learning to be normal around people was harder. "Most people are either too careful," she said, "or they pretend I'm invisible." Daniel nodded. "Yeah," he said softly. "I know that feeling." They didn't talk about his wife. He didn't need to. Some understanding doesn't require explanation. A few minutes later, a table opened up nearby. Before Lily could even notice, a woman stood and waved her over. "Sweetheart," she said, "come sit here. You shouldn't have to wait." Others followed. Chairs were moved. Space was made. What had felt like a full cafe suddenly had room. Lily stood up, steadying herself. "Thank you again," she said to Daniel. "For the seat. And for not making it weird." Daniel smiled. "Anytime." As Lily walked away, Noah looked up at his dad. "You did the right thing," he said, like it was a fact, not a compliment. Daniel swallowed. "Thanks, buddy." They sat back down, finally sharing their cookie. Around them, the cafe returned to its noise, but something had shifted. People smiled more. Someone paid for someone else's drink. A barista slipped Noah an extra cookie. And Daniel realized something important. Sometimes, the most shocking answer isn't no or yes. Sometimes, it's standing up when the world expects you to stay seated. If this story moved you even a little, take a second to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that kindness doesn't need permission, just a moment of courage. And maybe, the next time you're in a crowded cafe, you'll remember Lily and Daniel, and choose to make room.